back to Lombardi Sweep. Apologies for no show last week. Had some family stuff going on. Luke, what's going on? What's
Do
up?
we have a do, the title's not showing up on my screen. Do we have a title going?
I changed it.
Okay, cool.
It's good.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
yeah. So no, you're good. We're back. It's just Luke and myself this week holding down the fort. Trevor specifically wanted me to talk about his Bears prediction. He kept messaging me saying, like, I can't wait to see what you got to say. And honestly, I don't need to say anything. I think your prediction stands for itself. He said the Bears have a lot of swag and they'll beat the Packers. I have no comment. Listeners, you can drive your own conclusions about what you think of Trevor from that statement and now what you know about the Bears after a couple of weeks after that.
Trevor, noted Packers, Lions, and Bears fan now.
yeah. Can't wait for him to get on the Vikings as soon as I don't even know who it's going to be. It's going to be like he's going to be a massive Irv Smith Jr. fan by the end of the year.
Austin Eckler is going to end up there, and Trevor's all in on the Vikings.
True. You are not wrong. But yeah, it's been 2 weeks since we've been on. Obviously, the Bears game came and gone, went as expected to everybody except for Trevor. And then the Packers played the Buccaneers last week. And I think overall, I would say the Packers impressed last week. I know, like, it was the old cliche. It was definitely a tale of two halves for the Packers. And I think the defense definitely shined more than the offense did. But Luke, don't you think the overall vibe coming out of week 3, the victory against the Buccaneers, is a positive one overall?
I think so, right? I think so, right? It's got to be. You go to Tampa, you take down a Super Bowl contender when healthy. I mean, you take down a Hall of Fame quarterback in their own house. I know there's a lot to be desired kind of in that second half on offense, but this was almost like a flip-flop of, what was it, Rodgers' 2014 MVP season, when the offense is going out and just dropping 50 on teams. Like, the defense is just holding. They held the Bears. They held Minnesota somewhat for as well as Minnesota was playing on offense. They held the Bears. They held Tom Brady. Like, I like what the defense has been doing in this game, especially with, I guess, now it's hitting, but at that time, the impending hurricane. It's just nice to get out of there. You got to win. You can just get Tom Brady out of your sights until playoffs now and focus on the road ahead. And I think that's exactly what they accomplished, and I think that's what they're very happy about.
For as bad as I said their schedule was, before the year started, as soon as released, like, it looked really bad. I think the layout's really bad. The way the home road split is, the London game where the bye week is, everything's bad. Things are kind of lining up kind of perfectly as it could for the Packers. Yeah. Like, it's very obvious the injuries and the suspension to the receiving core, essentially, of the Buccaneers last week helped the Packers.
For sure.
And then this week, we'll talk about it in a little bit, Packers play the Patriots, who look like they'll possibly be down their starting quarterback. And, even though the Patriots should be a beatable game regardless, like, that's a positive too. And then I think week 5 is the London game against the Giants, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, things are looking up at the moment.
And then they have Washington after that?
Washington, I think. I know they got Buffalo coming.
Yeah. I think it's those two than Buffalo.
Giants, Jets, Washington, Jets. Buffalo.
So we could very well see and this is looking ahead, but we could very well see a 6-1 Packers versus 6-1 Buffalo. That'll be a fun game.
This Packers team is going to be so similar probably to a few years ago, where the Packers finished like 13-3, I think, and everyone's like, this is the worst 13-3 team of all time. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be something like that again.
Yep.
And it might be warranted, but whatever. Obviously, there were some injuries to the Packers. Jair Alexander exited last game after 6 snaps. And looking at the injury report coming out today, again, if you're listening to this after the fact, I'm looking at the practice report from Wednesday. The did not practice players. Looks like there's only 2 of them. One is Caleb Jones. Who cares? And then Elton Jenkins did not practice. Not a red flag. I think they're just giving him the day off. I think from what I've heard, he's responded well to game action and everything like that, as has David Bakhtiari, who made his return last week and looked good in a pitch count sort of role for the Packers.
And yeah, just to touch on, I guess, Jair Alexander there for a minute. It's nice to hear that he practiced right today. I'm sure he was limited.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I mean, nobody really knew that Jair Alexander had an injury until maybe the second quarter. So that makes me think that he pulled himself out, which could be either a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe he's just cramping up in the heat, which I would guess might be part of an issue. But to see he's practicing, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's his groin injury, which is never a good one to see, especially for these athletic positions who are out in the open field. You have to change possession, directions super quickly, obviously, as a corner. This is one of those things where it could go south super quickly, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him not play this week, even though he's already limited, already practicing and stuff. Like, if you can rest him against the Patriots and be a 100% the week after that, you should be able to beat the Patriots this week.
Yeah.
And I guess that you should be able to beat the Giants the week after that. So, like, if somehow he's out multiple weeks, I don't think this is something that's super scary, but I do think he's probably going to end up playing because he's kind of that kind of guy.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, the only thing I'm worried about is he pulled it out himself. So he pulled himself out. Like nobody had to come out and take him. So I'm sure he's a guy who always wants to play. So something it must have been something weird that happened. But like I said, I can't imagine it's too much of a issue right now looking ahead.
Agreed. And so that was a groin injury for him. Also limited, according to the practice report, David Bakhtiari with a knee. He's going to be limited probably all season long, and that's totally fine. That's, again, not a sign of a setback or anything like that. He's fine. A.J. Dillon with a knee. Jonathan Garvin with a hip. Caleb Jones, by the way, didn't practice because he has an illness, so that's good that he's not there. Alan Lazard limited with an ankle. Mercedes Lewis with a groin. And then Christian Watson with that hamstring. Obviously, Sammy Watkins on IR, so he doesn't need to be listed. He is out. But, yeah. I don't necessarily expect Christian Watson to play. I would assume it's going to be a game time decision sort of situation.
Yeah.
And, I don't think he adds a ton to the offense if he plays this week anyway.
I don't think he does either. My only thing is, like, he needs to play for his career, for his season this year. That's the only thing that scares me of Christian Watson, right? Also, I think it was evident in that game against Tampa Bay that Green Bay had no deep threat whatsoever. Like, their deep threat that game was Tyler Davis. So I think, the Packers can get away with not playing him, but I mean, how much can you get away with in the NFL? Probably not much. You're going to need a speed guy at some point. So I do hope that, I would actually honestly love to see Christian Watson play this game. I don't think, you don't even throw him a pass. Just let him go out there, run routes, do whatever, if you want to avoid him taking big hits. So I think I want Christian Watson back as soon as he can. And I know that, of course, that's what everyone thinks. But I think in terms of like this team and his career, I think that needs to happen.
This is already a scary situation for Christian Watson, I think, on multiple accounts.
Yeah.
Packers fans are so loyal to their rookies, like to a fault, I think. They believe in Gutekunst to a fault early on and stuff. So usually they're going to be like, oh, this is our rookie receiver. He's so good. He's going to be the next Devontae. He's amazing. The issue is Romeo Doubs is also a rookie, and he's playing super well. So him and Watson will always be compared now.
Correct.
And if they're going to be on Team Dobbs, there's going to be a lot of anti-Christian Watson people. And then the other red flag is like, this is a guy who wasn't an every snap guy at North Dakota State. He didn't play the most snaps out of the receivers on his team, even though he was clearly the best player. But like, he's not an every down guy. He has drop issues anyways. I don't think he's necessarily like, he's athletic, but he's going to be a guy who's going to have a ton of soft tissue injuries. It's just kind of how he's built and kind of the way his muscle endurance and durability is, it seems like. So it feels like he's going to be a Sammy Watkins, like he's going to be the every week injury report guy.
Sorry. Breaking news. Coolio died.
Really?
Yeah,
That
59
sucks.
years old.
Damn. That does
Playing
suck.
playing Gangsta's Paradise as soon as we get off of this stream.
100%. 100%. To look at New England's side for this game, Mac Jones hurt his ankle pretty bad last week, and it doesn't
Yeah,
seem like there's any chance he's going to play. He didn't practice today. The other player who didn't practice is Lawrence Guy with a shoulder injury. I really hope he does not play because
he's
he's
a
a
good
very
player.
good player.
Yep.
And then New England always lists everybody on their team limited. So Keenan and Kel theme Coolio
Shadid's
did.
got that right.
I don't remember it. I'm going to have to look that up. I don't remember the Keenan and Kel theme for whatever reason.
I
Okay.
wasn't a huge Keenan and Kel guy, but I mean, when I did watch it, it's great.
I for sure watched it.
Maybe it was a couple years older than I was growing up. It could have been.
It for sure was, yeah.
Because where does that? I'm sorry, not to sidetrack us. Where
No,
does
you're
that
good.
relate? Where does that relate in the timeline to Amanda show?
It would have been going on at like the same time.
Okay, because I got the end of Amanda show, start of Drake and Josh.
Because they both started at All That, which was like Nickelodeon's SNL.
Right.
And they split both of those shows off.
Yeah.
I believe. So
yeah. Oh, that's a great show. Those are all great shows.
Was good. For sure.
There's a little nostalgia for the people listening at home.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That does suck about Coolio though. In terms of snap counts for the Packers, again, we said David Bakhtiari played last week. He was had split snaps. He ended up playing 35 out of the 62, has responded well, should be all good to go. I assume he's going to play a little bit more. I don't think they're going to make him an every down guy for this week. I think they're just easing him up into that. And Nijman is playing fine. He's not great or good, but he's been playing fine in those limited snaps anyways. So there's no reason to rush Bakhtiari.
Yeah, and then maybe this is on the opposite side of the take I just had about Christian Watson, where you probably don't need David Bakhtiari to play these games. Like, what David Bakhtiari is. He looked great against Tampa in his limited snaps. Like, why? I think you ride it out till you're fully healthy. I know at some point you have to bring David Bakhtiari back because how long can you keep saving him, But, I mean, with the schedule coming up, like, would I be mad if he didn't play next week? Of course not. Would I be mad if he didn't play in London? I don't think so. Like, if the Packers want to save, like, if something happens in practice, whatever, and he can't play, like, save him till the Jets. Don't even have him worry about London. Fuck all that, and get ready for New England, or get ready for New York, and get a couple games before the Bills come.
I feel like those London games can get sloppy.
I don't really quickly. It's always raining in London. I don't watch a lot of soccer, but when I do, it's always raining.
It makes me nervous. Like, it's such a meaningless game against a bad Giants team. It just feels like one of those games where someone's going to get hurt. Like, why the fuck are we even here?
They got forced in. It feels like they got forced into this game that nobody wanted to. Nobody wanted this game.
No, like the Packers have avoided going overseas for this long, and now they drew this card, and it's against the Giants, who no one gives a shit about. And yeah, I just don't want it to be Bakhtiari's going up against Thibodeau, steps wrong and it slips on his kick step, that's kind of shit. Like, yeah, stay home, watch the game from your couch. Who the fuck cares? Let's give Jordan Love a game too. Let's just keep Rodgers out of there. Like, it's the Giants. It's going to be fine. Especially if we get that win against the Patriots this week.
We know that the Giants headhunt too. I bring this up a lot, but you remember our guy Jordan Reed? Like, they were out to kill him that game. If they sense one little touch of fear, they're going after guys.
The Giants' new defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, is a psychopath too, and I mean that in the best way possible. I love Wink. He's going to be doing a million things, throwing everything at the Packers' offensive line, and they hit hard. He is a Rex Ryan disciple. Like,
that's all you need to
I want nothing. Exactly. I want nothing to do with the Giants next week. Keep playing Bach on a limited basis, says Shadid, and I and Luke agree. Other Packers. Tight end splits kind of weird. And I think this is going to be pretty standard going forward. Tunyon led the way with 36 out of 62 snaps. Mercedes played 22. Davis played 19. And DeGuara played 9. What a good third-round draft pick. I think he was third round. Yes, he was, for sure. Defense. Like I said, Jair played only 6 snaps before that injury, which meant Keyshawn Nixon came in. Keyshawn Nixon played 57 out of the 65 snaps. Had good moments, had bad moments, but he is one of the only true slot cornerbacks on the team, so it's actually fine to have him in there. And then they bumped Rasul Douglas outside.
He had the best moment of the game down in that punt at the 1-yard line.
True. Very true.
Shout out Pat O'Donnell, by the way. That was a good game from him. It's nice to see a good game from a punter on Green Bay.
Yeah, we've seen enough bad ones. It's good to see some good ones. Looking at some of the other snaps, and I'm digesting some of this in real time as well. Defensive line, the D tackles, the interior D line. Kenny Clark obviously led the way with 50. Slayton played 13 snaps out of 65. And then Devontae Wyatt played only 7. They continue to use him very, very sparingly. He looks fine when he's in there. They just never use him. Jaron Reed, obviously, at the end, played 40 out of 65. Where's that sneaky son of a bitch? Dean Lowry, there he is. 33 out of 65 snaps for him. Quay Walker ended up playing 55. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty standard across the board, I would say. The Packers cornerback room now is very scary, thin. If that's a real sentence.
This is the best the Packers defense has looked all year, I guess, in my opinion, and maybe that's because Tampa was down 3 receivers. Who knows? Like, you can play the what-if game all day. But in games, like, do you think the Packers can win 14-point games? Like, if their offense only scores 14 points?
Normally, no. It was truly like watching the Buccaneers. Their timing was so off with everything. And it's because they had, Cole Beasley was signed that week and was in there. Like, they had nobody. If they just had receivers who knew where to sit in the zones and where the openings were and just sit there and let Tom Brady throw it to you, they probably would have beat the Packers. So,
yeah, I don't disagree.
So, yeah, I don't know if they can win 14-point games, but they have looked good. I think the pass rush still needs to improve a lot considering the state of the secondary.
Yeah, and I also don't expect them to only score 14 points a game because they were marching all 3 of those drives against one of the better defenses in the NFL. I know the second half blew chunks, but, those first 3 drives against a great defense, that was great for a team that was projected to have the worst receiving core and expected to do nothing on offense or whatever this year.
Yeah, and if Aaron Jones doesn't fumble, that's probably a touchdown or at least 3. Like, there's a few plays, like, just missed plays.
Yeah, and that Aaron Jones fumble, that was a weird play. Vita Vea dropped back in coverage on that play. Like, that, I don't think you worry about that fumble.
No. I think, we need to have full confidence in Aaron Jones. Yeah, I'm not sure what else we can really take away from that game. Here's something I wanted to bring up. Aaron Rodgers obviously goes on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday. He talked up Romeo Doubs, obviously. He likes it. This is something he talks about receivers all the time. He likes Doubs because he catches with his hands. We talked about this last year, how he took shots at MVS because he only body catches. When you can catch with your hands, it lets Rodgers to put the ball fucking wherever because he can put it on a dot anyway. So you can back shoulder throw it, you can do whatever. And Doubs actually catches the ball. Again, this is something that Christian Watson doesn't do, and it gives more reason for Doubs to be ahead in the rookie race, not only for fans, but for Aaron Rodgers, the coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the big nugget from the McAfee interview that I was going to bring up to you. Do you remember that Matt Flynn game? The game that got him the contract, the 400 and whatever yard game?
The 6 touchdown game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out Aaron Rodgers called all the plays for that game. It pisses me off. Aaron Rodgers is a genius, dude.
Yeah. So my thought on that is I'm sure people listen to the press conferences after the game. Someone brought up a question about Matt LaFleur's play calling in the second half there to Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if
Mhm.
Rodgers is saving face or not wanting to throw his coach under the bus or whatever, but Rodgers said he agreed with a lot of the play calls. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that's saving face, but something wasn't clicking on that offense. It seemed like LaFleur and Rodgers sounds like they were in sync. And once again, this could be just him saving face, but the offense just sucked, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was certain things that you can definitely they got away from some of the inside zone stuff, which was weird. Um, but every play has like a built-in out for it, and it seems like they weren't running them. Like there's so many plays where, like I think it was on the Dobbs touchdown, it was clearly a RPO type of play. Like
Was it?
he just saw where the defense lined up and he threw it to Dobbs when it was a run. It was a zone run to the left.
Yeah, that was an odd RPO, right? That was because it
Yeah.
had double slant on the right side. I don't know if I've ever seen that on an RPO before.
Yeah. It was basically double slant, but it was a screen.
Right. Yes.
Like 80% of Alan Lazard's routes is just him getting him in a position to block for somebody.
Right. Right.
But I mean, it looked good.
Hmm.
It looked good. Worked good. Could have been called illegal contact, but refs aren't calling that anywhere this year. So
I don't.
fuck it. Um, I did write down the only other thing I wrote down about the game is I thought Alan Lazard was the MVP of that game.
Yep.
Like I know you can talk up Aaron Rodgers, he was great. I know you can talk up Romeo Dobbs, he was great. Alan Lazard was unbelievable. He was the only thing every snap good. Like
Yep.
everything about it was good. He blocked on every big play. He made a bunch of plays, obviously receiving. Like he is instrumental to the offensive success right now.
It's crazy that like Alan Lazard. I shouldn't. It's not crazy that Alan Lazard is a good run blocker, but it's crazy that more receivers aren't good run blockers. And maybe it's an effort thing, or maybe
Could you?
coaches don't coaches don't want receivers to block. But maybe Zach, maybe you know this a little bit more than me, you being offensive line guy. But it feels like a receiver, you just need to get in the defender's way enough for the ball carrier to create enough space. Which is
Mhm.
crazy to me to see that like corners just run free at blocker or at ball carriers.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say probably 75% of the time it's just effort. And
Right.
I understand you're running miles every single game. Like that's your job to just run and run and run and run. And it's not, you don't really get up for the plays that you know the ball's not going to go your way. It's just kind of the way they're built.
Yeah.
You saw the big reaction out of me because you're talking about run blocking wide receivers. Could you imagine if the Packers used that Devontae Wyatt pick or even the Christian Watson pick on George Pickens, and we had
You know,
George Pickens and Alan Lazard blocking?
you know, that's like Vince Lombardi offense right there.
Yeah. Yep. We've already seen George Pickens deplete a Lions defender.
Hmm.
He is, damn it.
That catch was so sick too. Like that's just George Pickens. He's a playmaker.
That's Steelers. Just throw it up.
I don't understand how he's not involved in that offense.
It's unbelievable. Okay. So, again, looking ahead, we play the Patriots this week. The Packers are home. It's another 325 game. Packers play on CBS. That's a little bit different. Again, Mac Jones most likely out for the Patriots. It should be Brian Hoyer at quarterback. Brian Hoyer's been in the Patriots system for a long, long time. He started games with the Browns. He's a pretty good quarterback. I don't think the Patriots really miss a beat with him. He's just also not a great quarterback, The Packers are favored by 9.5 at home. The over-under is at 40.5, so they're expecting a low-scoring blowout. Patriots obviously haven't looked that great this year. What's your overall feelings going into the game?
I don't think there's anything on New England that worries me in this game. Like anything that we absolutely need to be attached to and make sure that we stop this or we take care of that. And maybe sometimes those are games you lose, but it's really hard for me to see a scenario where the Packers lose this game. Um, like right, all the chips are pointing to Green Bay right now. I know Mac Jones isn't probably not a huge upgrade over Brian Hoyer, but it takes a little excitement out of New England fans. I don't know that. I know New England's a well-traveled team, but I would imagine that maybe not. It's a Milwaukee game, but I'm sure Green Bay will be fired up for this game. It's always fun bringing New England to town, and traditionally Green Bay does well against New England when they play in Green Bay.
Right. The only way I see the Packers losing this game is if the offense gives the ball away one or two times and the Patriots just run the ball with success the entire time on offense, which I think the Packers are weak to. I think they could give up one of those 40, legitimately 40 rush attempt games this week.
Yeah, and I think that would be a win for the Packers. Well, maybe not. Maybe not, actually. I take that back.
I think it should be, and I think the Packers will win. But that's the only way the Patriots win. They need to slow the game down. They need to keep their offense on the field. They need to just run down Kenny Clark. And once you get Kenny Clark tired, everything else falls apart for the Packers anyways.
Yeah.
And they're going to have both Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith in there blocking. They'll be giving it to Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah. And I think my point meant I would rather New England pass the ball than run the ball if I'm the Packers, if I'm Joe Barry right now.
100% sell out for the run.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of Devontae Parker and Nelson Aguilar. Make them beat us consistently. I don't think it's going to happen.
Is before we move on, is Brian Hoyer upper echelon for greatest backup quarterbacks of all time?
Maybe. I don't think he's clipboard Jesus level.
Chase Daniel?
Isn't Chase Daniel, man, what a career.
Mm-hmm.
He is the most successful guy of all time.
Blaine Gabbert?
Blaine Gabbert's great. Nick Foles has to be the greatest backup, right?
Yeah, but do you think of Nick Foles as a backup quarterback?
I don't know.
I think of him as a Super Bowl winner first, then a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And maybe that speaks to his backup quarterback ability.
Are you considering Tebow a backup? Because he was a great backup too.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking the guys who stuck around forever, never really got the chance to start, only came in when the young guy went down.
Yeah.
Who was Roethlisberger's backup for a while? He was good.
It
was before Vic.
Pictures.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
It was before Vic.
Yeah, I can picture his face.
Charlie Batch.
Yep. Yeah, he was good. He was definitely good. Yeah, I mean Tyrod.
Yeah. Wait, is there a curse of Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah. And if you are a young white rookie, you want to be behind Tyrod Taylor because we know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get the job one way or another.
Yep.
Every time. Eagles fans said Foles is better as a backup quarterback than a starter. Absolutely, he needs to come off the bench.
Yep.
He's
Jamal Crawford.
100%. Yeah, 100%. He's going to come in hot, but if he starts the game, he is going to be flat the entire time.
That's
so I mean,
we're back-to-back Lombardi Sweep shows with 2000s basketball player references.
What did we do last time?
We went off on Hito Turkoglu last 2 weeks ago.
FlurrySports podcast this week, and I just posted a video on the FlurrySports YouTube channel. We went 25 minutes just naming former NFL players that made us feel nostalgic.
Incredible.
Like I did Steven Jackson, stuff like that. We need to do an NBA one. Hito Turkoglu's for sure on there.
Yes.
What a time. Him, Zydrunas Ilgauskas is there.
Fucking Anderson Varejao. Fuck all those. I hate them all. And I think that's why I remember them.
100%. Yeah, those foreign, just big guys that just take cheap shots at everybody. They're the goons on their NBA team.
Marcin Gortat. Fuck that guy, man.
Oh, my God. For sure. I hate that guy. Who's the guy from the Warriors championship run? They just hurts people.
Oh, Zaza
Pachulia. Yeah, fuck him too.
One more bad one is Luis Scola. I always hated him too.
100%. His greasy, long hair. Okay, so I mean, Packers favored by 9.5, over under of 40.5 points. We might as well just give our predictions, or let's do a key to victory. Honestly, for me, for sure, it's just stopping the run. We need to make sure we stop the run. Everything else is fine.
Yep. I mean, outside of that, like, is not fucking up a key. Like, this should be a winnable game. I mean, if these guys just do their job, they'll win the game. You're right, Zach. Probably the only way that New England gets something going is if they take like 10-minute drives running the ball and shit. Winning that trench game, we say it every week, but stopping their running back is the number one key in this game.
Honestly, not fucking up is a real thing against Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Like, you go back to that Cam Newton year where they win like 7 games or something.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense was non-existent. Their defense was fine. Their special teams was number 1. They thrive off of mistakes. They always capitalize on mistakes, every Bill Belichick coach team. So if you don't make a mistake and you don't give them an extra possession, they're not going to win this game.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
Just don't fuck up, legitimately.
So the line is at 9.5 with, you said 40.5 is over under.
Yeah.
So
low
like a 25-15 game. I think I actually like that. That kind of spread there. I think Vegas hits it on this one.
Yeah, I was thinking 24-14. Like, it's going to be right there.
Yep.
That'll be my prediction.
Yep.
Yeah. Patriots are going to slow this game down, and the Packers might try to do the same.
Yep.
But if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know what your prediction is. Definitely leave your score prediction if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, leave it in the comments. Share this. We are Lombardi Sweep, so you can find this podcast in the audio form anywhere you listen to podcasts. Comes out on Thursday mornings. We are live on Wednesday nights on the Lombardi Sweep Facebook page, which you should go and like, on the FlurrySports YouTube page, which you should subscribe to. And we will be back next week with probably a full cast as we talk about the London game. And before we get out of here, Shadid gives his prediction 27-17. Let's bet it. Let's bet the exact scores for all 3 of them. One of them is going to hit. Always a good payout. We'll be back next week. See ya.
Peace.